synthetic weave, all hand woven.
Okay, this is the direction I want to go. So if you could do something like that on a smaller scale, I think we're close.
Well, we have one more sectional called the Uptown.
All right.
I think it's going to be perfect for your application.
Okay, let's see that one. But I really do like this one. Oh, I think you're right. I think this is the one for me.
So a little bit smaller scale.
So this has 5 pieces like the first set?
Correct. And I've seen this set up 30 different ways. Truly, I mean, it is a really versatile piece.
And then these colors, is this a standard color for the back cushions?
There's about 30 or 40 different options.
Then you know what? I think this is the set that I want. And I think because there's the 5 pieces, it lets me really customize it. So,
perfect.
Yeah, ideal. You just made my day a lot better. Today is a heavy stone day in the garden. We're gonna put in a lot of the interlock. We're gonna put down the rest of the gravel for the bocce pit. We're also gonna start building our planters. And while all of that's going on, Keisha's gonna come down to the site to inspect it. I wanted you to sort of see the garden at this point, because this is halfway.
Oh wow, it's a lot of work being going on back here.
Well, yeah, we've ripped everything out. Like grass.
Like grass.
The deck.
The deck is gone. That's what I feel the most. It's a lot lighter.
Wow. I was really surprised that Keisha called the space lighter, but with those lighter colored elements, the whole space is starting to really open up. We started putting in some of the elements like this.
Carson, what is this?
This is one of the 2 arbors that I talked about, okay?
They're matching.
Yeah.
Great.
There are a few other changes that you might notice in the space.
I'm seeing the stone on the concrete.
Yes. What you're not going to see is the concrete itself. I mean, it's here, it's a good surface. Instead of taking it out and having it going into a landfill, we're gonna use this as our base. From here all the way back to the fence over there is all gonna be interlocked.
Speaking of stone, I'm a little nervous about the gravel.
This isn't just gravel. This is called HPB, or high performance base. So we're gonna pack this down so it won't be loose anymore.
All right.
And it has a lip on each side, so it has sort of a barrier in place.
And it's easy to maintain.
There's no maintenance.
Okay, sounds
All right?
good.
We talked earlier about doing a raised patio structure to replace the old deck.
Yeah.
But because we're going on top of the concrete, we don't have to do that anymore. So this will all be one level surface all the way across.
And it's a patio.
Yeah.
For everyone.
For everyone.
I'm looking forward to seeing everybody having their own space and being together without being on top of each other.
That's going to be a big plant bed full of trees and shrubs and flowers. I wanted to basically block the parking from the seating area.
I know it's going to be great.
We'll make this beautiful, I promise.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right.
For something like this to completely finish would be about 6 hours.
Wow, you got a lot of work to do then.
Yes, we do.
Especially because we need to.
Oh, okay.
The Green Force team and I are at EQ Homes. We're transforming a neglected backyard into a functional space suitable for multiple families. So far, we've begun construction on a raised stone planter, the 2 wooden pergolas, and we've added a bocce pit for both the kids and the adults to enjoy.
Because this garden is fairly stone heavy, I want to introduce some planters, and I want them to be lightweight so that they can be moved around the space. Now I'm going to build something called hypertufa. Hypertufa basically means faux stone, and here's how you do it. You need a form. Now I'm going to go with rectangular planters, so I'm just going to use these bins, but you need to line them with plastic garbage bags. That way, once the mold's set, it comes out a lot easier. For the actual hypertufa itself, you need the following ingredients. You need Portland cement, peat moss, and either vermiculite or perlite. In this case, I'm going to use a combination of both. For the ingredients, you need equal parts of all 3. So 1 part Portland, 1 part peat moss, and 1 part of the perlite vermiculite combination. And you're going to put them in a large bin and add water. Now you don't want it too wet, and you don't want it too dry. You basically want something that you can mold. You're going to pour that mixture inside your actual forms, and you're going to shape out your planters, and then you're going to let it dry. And you need one more final important piece of equipment. You need rubber gloves, because the last thing you want is for this stuff to stick to your arms. Now I've made a few different sizes of planters. I've got the large and the small, and then I've made one deeper and one shallower. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the smaller planter inside the large one to help form that shape, which is what I'm looking for here. Then comes the hardest part of this project. You have to be patient, because it's really important to let this dry. And while you're being patient, you also have to clean up the mess.
While my custom planters are set to dry, I get a few pointers on handmade furniture.
Does it stay green like this though?
No, it doesn't. It actually turns black over time. This is what will happen. The thicker pieces will actually take longer to dry, but it'll eventually the whole thing will turn black.
And then this is willow, right?
This is willow.
What about the curves and stuff? Is that going to be a problem for bending?
No, not at all. If you pass me a piece there, I'll show you.
Like that?
Basically, willow is very flexible as long as you keep it wet.
Wow.
You can bend it to any shape you want.
Okay.
This will have an arm coming up from the floor all the way up and attaching to the back so that you have a nice continuous flow to it.
I like that. And then can we do a curved detail up top as well?
Absolutely. We can do a heart shape, give it that romantic look. We'll match it up here, and once it's all nailed in place, it'll become part of the chair.
Very cool.
You can actually weave the seats just to reinforce and give it a different look. When you have to end at a certain point, you just take your trusty snips and cut them and hide the piece underneath so that it's out of the way and doesn't stick anybody.
I really like this. Now, how long does it take to do something like this?
A chair like this, for this particular one, we're looking at about 6 hours.
And you've got 2 of these to build.
Yes.
I'm going to get out of your way. You keep going.
With construction well underway on the stone patio and the raised planter, I sneak away to find the perfect plants to complement my hypertufa project.
For the ECU home garden, I'm planning to build some custom planters, and I'm going to use these as decoration around the space. Now, this is an example of a succulent. These are hens and chicks. Now, hens and chicks are ideal for hot, dry locations because they store water in their leaves. In fact, if you squeeze one of these, you can get moisture out of them. They're almost juicy, which makes them absolutely low maintenance.
The green has arrived and we're busy filling in this garden. And with my hypertufa planters completely dry, I can finish off this custom piece.
Now that the planter's actually dry, I can take it out of the mold, and this is probably one of the more challenging parts of the project. Basically, you're flipping it over and then you're going to remove the plastic garbage bag, and if you've done this properly, it will all come out nice and easy. You can see what the plastic actually does to the concrete mixture. It gives it this great striation, which makes the stone look a little bit more natural. The other way that you know your hypertufa is finished is by the sound. Basically, you're listening for that nice hollow sound. That means that this is dry and ready for planting. And in this case, I'm going to fill it with all those great succulents. Now that we've completed a lot of construction in the space, you can start to see the design elements as I've envisioned them. Starting right here. Now, I know there's a plant bed here, but visually your eye stops in this spot. Not just because this is where the interlock ends, but also because there's a focal point in this arbor at the end of the bocce pit. It also makes this feel a little bit more private. We took away that straight line from the concrete walkway. The concrete's still there, but by putting the interlock on top of it and going all the way to the building, we've widened this up. You no longer feel as congested. The interlock also leads you into this area over here. Now, this is where I envision the table and chairs going. I also think that this is the perfect spot for that sectional seating right around the back corner. This is probably the most private area in the garden. Something else that creates the privacy here happens to be this big, beautiful planter. And as the plants actually fill out in it, you can no longer see the cars parked behind it. I've created my 2 areas. We've got the adult private dining area, and then we've got a great bocce pit for the kids. But we still have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of plant material to put in place. We're going to bring in some more gravel for the bocce pit, and we have a lot of furniture to place, which makes for one very long day. Do you remember what this used to look like?
Oh my God! Carson, that's beautiful.
Green Force has done it again. We've taken an unused, neglected backyard and given it new life for the families at ECU Homes. We've completely removed the dying grass and planted a lush garden to the